So, a very interesting kind of like insight or realization that I came to yesterday was this idea that a person will never be more comfortable with anybody else than with those that actually allow themselves to be free to express themselves, right? And don't judge themselves for it. Something that's so interesting about the way that I grew up was that I was surrounded by people who judged me a lot. And not only judged me, but also tried to pull me very far outside of myself. They didn't want me to express myself, right? How a person expresses themselves is a boundary, right? How you choose to express yourself is a boundary. That's just the reality of it. Um, and it's so interesting too because this idea that I came to of you'll never be more comfortable with anybody else than those that allow themselves to express themselves and don't judge themselves for it. The reason you'll never be more comfortable, the reason that you'll never be more comfortable with anybody else is because they give you the same thing that they're giving themselves. That's just the reality of it. When you think about it, right? They are because they give everyone else what. Listen, think about it this way, right? What you give to yourself, you also give to everyone else. So if what you're giving yourself is the freedom to be and express yourself authentically without judgment, you're giving other people the same thing. If what you give yourself is, say for instance, you're just not happy with yourself for whatever reason, right? And as a result of that, you give yourself whatever it is that you give other people accordingly, right? So if you're very harsh on yourself, if you judge yourself, if you're very critical on yourself, you're going to give other people the same energy. It's just the way that it is. But if you have fully accepted yourself, if you validate yourself and love yourself, you're going to give other people the same thing, right? It's kind of the idea of those who are unhappy make other people unhappy. But those who are happy make other people happy as well. And they don't do it intentionally, they just do it because they're happy. Happiness is felt just like unhappiness is, right? But I came to this realization the other day and I realized it, and I have grown up around many people that tried to pull me very far outside of myself. You can't do that. No, no, no. No, you can't do that either. And it's very interesting because I have also I think that the way that this works is that people that are that way, people that have a hard time with allowing other people to be themselves, they were probably raised that way. They probably had parents that didn't want them to. A lot of times I see this happening that parents didn't get to have or allow themselves to have what it is that they actually wanted, right? They had parents that were very critical, and because of that, um, they were raised in a way that they weren't really allowed to be authentic, right? Who that they got to marry was not really, I mean, it was always their choice, but they surrendered that free agency or that sense of freedom for themselves to their parent, right? Because they wanted love, they wanted validation, this, that, and the other. Um, but like when you look at that dynamic, it's so interesting because they don't get to make those decisions for themselves. Well, they do, they can, but probably some kind of you know, consequence would happen as a result of that. And I always look at that kind of stuff and I think, wow, consequence. Like, who somebody decides to marry is their boundary. Nobody else gets to, dictate that. And it's very interesting too because I see this happening all the time where like parents are like choosing their children's, um, girlfriend spouses, and it's like, it's absurd to me. It's like, no, that's not your choice. That's you're teaching your child that they don't have their own choice, right? And it's just it's absurd. But this goes hand in hand with all that stuff because it's like, yeah, okay, so for the people that do choose to give themselves what they need, their own self-expression, this, that, and the other, you're gonna find them accepting people a lot more because they accept themselves. People that don't accept themselves have a very hard time accepting other people because it's what they give themselves or what they don't give themselves. What people don't give themselves, they don't give to other people. What people give themselves, they give to other people. And of course, this is both positive and negative. If you give yourself love, you're gonna have a more easily time, more a much more easy time. Yeah, a much more easy time giving other people love. That's just the way that it is. So, I look at this dynamic and I think it's very interesting because it's very relevant, and the way that it unfolds is just that. If you give yourself what it is that you need and you don't cut yourself off from expressing yourself authentically, you're going to be fine giving other people that, right? And then other people are going to be comfortable being around you because you don't restrict them from being themselves. People all the time are being restricted from being themselves because they're around people that also restrict themselves from being themselves because they learned that from probably their parents or some guardian or something like that. And it's just passed down and passed down and passed down and passed down. But yes, you will never feel more comfortable than with those people that give themselves the freedom to express themselves authentically and without judgment. And the reason, again, is because they give that to you, right? Again, what other people give to themselves, they give to you. So you'll never be more comfortable with those people. And I'm starting to realize that too because I have I have met very few people in life that just allow me to be authentically me, right? And don't try to change me. The energy of trying to change somebody is it's it's not cool. It's lame. And it's funny too because I grew up learning that it was my responsibility to change people, right? That it was my responsibility to manage people. That created a very specific energy dynamic between me and other people, and it was very. Ugh. But yeah, those people that allow you to just be yourself, right? I mean, why wouldn't you want to? You'll never know somebody more than when you're allowing them to just be themselves. Think about it. It's just the way that it works. So really understand that. You'll never be more comfortable than with those that allow you to be yourself, or with those that allow themselves to be themselves without judgment, because they're giving you the same thing.